Greetings, everyone. I'm just still in the process of setting up. It's been a while. How did I turn off this background music? It's been a while. StreamYard, the software that I'm using to do these live broadcasts, have added a bunch of features in the last month since I've been away from doing broadcasts. And they got background music. Oh, here it is. Stop. They got a bunch of background music here. I don't know what they do. I don't know how they sound, you know. Like here, this one's called Dance Pop. So, what's this one? Let's see. Some volume. I don't know. Too bad they don't have something mysterious for it. That'd be good for DioWarriors. This one's called Daydreaming. I don't know. Background music? Is it really needed? I suppose if there's going to be like if I do something like you know, like watch a print for several hours, I suppose I could have background music rather than just a video. But anyways, here's this one's called Feeding the Ducks. Kind of interesting. Into Space. Can I use this for DioWarriors? It's more like white space rather than outer space. Lofty. I don't know. I guess some of these I'm going to have to let them play and kind of decide. Night driving. There's one more after this. Night driving might be good for watching a live webcam of a print. And this one's called Rock. Nah, it doesn't sound like something for DioWarriors. It's got to be something more space music. Anyways, this one's acoustic cinematic. Maybe good for watching a 3D print. I don't know how loud this is. This is 50% volume. This is 25%. I guess I'll put it back 50% and then I'll stop it. So stop. So anyways, okay, let's see, where did I leave off? 2021 was a very hard year. Hard in the sense that towards November, December, I was coming down with something, dealing with my gallbladder. Still don't know what it was because it's gone. It's vanished. I'm not having any problems right now. But anyways, that really contributed to adding to some delays because instead of being productive at night, especially, that's where I really do a lot of the printing. And it's not so much on the printing, but I do a lot of cleanup, a lot of part cleanup, getting rid of things like this that get connected to the prints. You can see like little stringies, things like that that's on the prints. I do a lot of cleanup at night. Just sit down in front of the TV or something like that and just take out the X-Acto knife and a file and clean these things up. So I got a lot of these boxes. Can't really see too much on the inside, I think, but there's a lot of stringies that do get left over. So every print that goes out, I clean these things up. So that way you guys don't have to do it. And because I think one of the drawbacks of doing something at home and then sending it out to the customers is that lots of times, as a customer, you want to hit the ground running. You order something, you open it up, you take it out, and you admire the artwork. The first impression is like, wow. The last thing you want to do as a customer is, wow, look how messy it is. Oh wow, I got to take out the hot water and dip the figure inside, or take out the hair dryer and loosen up the joints. That's the last thing you want to do. So when it comes to 3D printing, the last thing you want to do is like, okay, I gotta take out whatever they usually say in a 3D printing forum and sand something down, or use Bondo or some other technique to coat and kind of get rid of or suppress the layer lines before I could do any printing, or before I could do any painting. So, as a customer, I think, you want to hit the ground running as fast as you can. And if you're a person who wants to do customizing, that's one issue. But I hear a lot of people, they either they don't have a background, a childhood background of working with models, like fine scale models. They kind of want to shy away from having to do excessive customization, such as excessive painting. With me, I like doing customs. I haven't done any customs in quite a while, but I'm not a person who shies away from customs. When it comes to customizing a figure, I don't mind painting things like that, except when it comes to the face, specifically the eyes, because when it comes to painting, well, first of all, the eyes are a challenge. Things are so small, and paint wants to run everywhere. And there's different techniques to get the painting of the eyes just right. So for me, like the whites of the eyes never look natural enough. They look too white, and they look like like there's too much white. And so I'm trying to figure out what's a nice shade of white that would be appropriate for the eyes. I haven't quite figured that out yet. The other thing is the shade of the skin, because different brands of paint wants to give like the skin tone and a skin base. And you could get different shadings of skin tone by, different proportions. Darker skin, maybe more skin base or something like that. And lighter skin, maybe, I don't know. It just depends on the brand. So I never really have a good time when it comes to painting skin. So I try not to do that kind of custom work. It's usually going to be like if I have to do any painting the gear, the clothing, the pouches, things like that. So I usually try to stay away. So when it comes to doing things with props, I try to minimize the amount of post work a person has to do. And so when it comes to painting, I try to do something neutral. So if you do have to do painting of a prop, hopefully it'll be something gray, because I find that when something is black, it depends. Not everything looks great when there's too much black. Like too much black on the consoles. For example, the details with the buttons on these keys, for example. You want the keys to stand out, especially when you take a photo. So you want to have something, a different shade of color, maybe a type of gray or something. And then, so things like black is a little bit more of a challenge. I think things look a little bit more friendly when it comes to gray, because gray being neutral, you can spray paint with a primer and then spray paint with some other shade of color. But along that topic, another thing that I try to do is use special plastics that will suppress a lot of the layer lines that develop with 3D printing. even if you do resin prints, unless you go high resolution on those resins, you will have noticeable, especially on the close-up, layer lines. And because with the 3D printing process, you're still going to be doing things layer by layer, and so a lot of the quality depends on the brand of printer, and then the settings that you have those printers printing. So, but when it comes to larger, more durable parts, I try to do things with plastic. So I use a lot of PVB, and that's a plastic that reacts with alcohol, rubbing alcohol. And so I use that to do certain props, not everything, but certain props, where I put it through an alcohol vapor bath, and it will not get rid of the layer lines, but suppress a lot of the layer lines. So if you're looking at a part really close, especially with a magnifying glass, you will see problems. Parts don't look nice when you look close up with a magnifying glass. So sometimes with a camera really close, you'll see problems. A lot of those problems goes away when I use the vapor bath method, and it will suppress a lot of the layer lines. So touching it with your fingers, looking at it with just eyeballing it, it will look very smooth, and it will be very friendly for regular painting. So so certain props I do use an alcohol vapor to smooth things out. And I say smooth around quotes because it's not true. It is smoothing. It is smoothing. It's just that it's suppressing the layer lines. So the more alcohol I use, the more suppression occurs. The trick or the challenge is when you come to use small pieces like this, when you're having a lot of small little details like keyboard keys and things, because what happens is that those details tend to get washed away in the vapor. So it becomes a challenge of how much vapor you use to suppress those details. You don't want to do too much because then you won't have details. Now, with all that said, is if like I was saying, if you're a customizer and you do want to make a part that you get from DioWarriors a bit smoother, you don't have to sit there with a file. If the part is PVB, instead you can use alcohol, just regular rubbing alcohol. Now, so I try to keep certain parts, certain colors, so it's easier to identify what parts are will react with vapor. So the regular gray, I won't. This is just regular plastic, PLA plastic specifically. Most of my black stuff will be PLA as well. There are exceptions, and those exceptions will be noticeable because they will be smooth. So like in this, the gray is PLA. The gray back there is also PLA. But this kind of bluish color is referred to as slate gray. And it doesn't look very slate to me, but this kind of bluish color is PVB. And so this will go through the vapors process. So when you get something like this, either it'll be smooth or it'll look smooth-ish. And if you want to get it more smooth, you can do it yourself. So colors like this will indicate that it's not your regular plastic. Also, this kind of color, this orange, will also be that type of plastic that will react with alcohol. So you can bake if you get a box or something else such as, I got two things to show, such as a modern plastic barrel. This will also be, will react with alcohol. This one is fresh out of the printer, so you can still see it needs some cleanup and has not been treated with alcohol. So it's not smooth. This is regular. So if you use your fingernail, you can feel, maybe even hear, layer lines. And but it will go through a vapor bath. I'll show you. Maybe the light can kind of gleam, and I can show you the difference. Yeah. I got two things to show. So here's one that's been through the vapor. You can see light is gleaming on it. It's the same as this, but you can see this one with the top, the gleam is stronger. And this one hasn't been treated yet. So this one will be friendly for painting. But like I said, if you want to get something like this even smoother than what you get from us, you just use regular rubbing alcohol, and you keep on rubbing it in an area until the plastic becomes kind of tacky, and then you'll start to notice that the layer lines and things like that will start to get smoothed out. And you can keep smoothing until you get to the point where you're satisfied, and then just stop. Let the alcohol evaporate, and then it'll still be tacky to the touch. So you just want it to just let it sit for a while, maybe a couple of hours, maybe the next day, and you just kind of test it until you can touch it, safely with the fingers without leaving any marks or smudges. So so that's the thing. That's one reason why I try to stay with certain colors of plastics. So you get something from us, right away, that's regular plastic and that's special plastic, and you'll know how to work with those special plastics. Now, with that said, I'm also converting a lot of stuff into 6-inch scale. So I don't have a six. Yeah, I do have a 6-inch figure with me. So yeah, right off the printer from yesterday. This is an untreated modern barrel. You can see the difference. And it's basically been upscaled very easily. This one doesn't have a whole lot of details, so I didn't have to go back in to kind of make any adjustments. This was basically a straight upscale thing, and it worked nice. So it is 6-inch, for a 6-inch scale. So you can see that with this figure. I got this figure in a certain pose, so I don't want to. Well, I guess I can change it because it's been a while. So let's see. So you can see the figure there. And with the vapor smoothing process, smoother now. And so here it is, 6-inch. So you could have a figure. I haven't done the top yet. I think the top is actually designed. It wasn't. I didn't do a simple upscale of the top because I have certain techniques, and those techniques would have also been upscaled. So I had to go back and make adjustments to it, and but it's going to look more or less the same as this top. I do have to print it. I could probably do one today. And let's see what else. Yeah, my tabletop here is getting kind of messy. Here's another prototype experiment for 6-inch keyboard. Let me just take the keyboard out. So here's a keyboard. It is appropriate to the size of the figure, and the keys are correct for, like, the figure's finger. So it's not like, oversized keys or too small. You see it a little bit better. I think the details came out okay. This one's a generic model because it's a bit on the thinner side, and that's because I have this one designed for certain props. I am working on a pedestal console like this, but for 6-inch. So I gotta print the stand, the pedestal part. But so you can see that it'll be like that, mounted to the thing. So so the reason why the keyboard is so thin is because it's designed to be used in other props. But it's just a matter of just making the bottom part a little bit thicker, then having it as a standalone keyboard, so you can just put it right next to a 6-inch monitor and things like that. So yeah, so 6-inch stuff, DioWarriors stuff is coming. Now, with all that said, there's been a lot of delays with the orders and stuff. I still have a few orders that are left that are pending. I'm trying to get them out ASAP. And one thing about the the orders is that well, I'm trying to get them out. So machines have been going down. I haven't been able to work with them as I wanted to. Back in November, when I started to have some gallbladder issues, I had scheduled to work with some printers, including the one behind me and things like that. So some older videos do show that the printers were in the process of being worked on, being repaired. So I need to get back to that because I still have 2 machines down that I have to work with. But oh yeah, so other little things. I don't want to get too sidetracked, but I am working on things with guitars. I've got banjo, guitar. I got 2 types of guitars done. You can see that was straight off from the printer, actual wood stuff, and the other style. So here's something that I'm going to have to ask everybody is with the guitars, the classic guitars. I don't know what you call them, the main body of it, but I got 2. One is more shapely and the other one's less. I'm going to have both of them available. I think on the store right now, only this one's available, but I don't know which one looks better on a figure. So I'm going to make both available because both prints about the same. So, you get the idea. Here's a 1/18 scale. So, but I'm also going to see about printing these if it'll fit on my small printers in 6-inch scale. So if you have some figure that will benefit from having a musical instrument, you'll get this. Of course, these types do require a lot of custom to really flesh them out some, like the strings and any other painting. But at least you can varnish it and make it look more woodish and woodish. Yeah. So, anyways, oh yeah. So more stuff on 6-inch. So straight off from the printer. Here, yeah. Oh, this one's got a thing. So here is light glare, huh? So here is a digital. I forget, hot plate or scale. It might be a hot plate. So the idea, you put something on there. It's got 2 buttons for the increasing the temperature, decreasing the temperature, and an on-off switch. And it is, where's the figure? it is quite big, but it's a laboratory thing, so you could put some flask or something like that on there. I'm going to try experimenting with doing flasks as regular, instead of 3D printed, regular casting. So I do have one of those floral type acrylics that's supposed to be super clear like water, the type of stuff that a florist would use to fill in the vase and make it look like it's got water inside, but it's actually just acrylic. I'm going to try to experiment 3D printing a mold with smooth out the layer lines and injecting some of this acrylic and see what comes out. And so I am going to do that type of experimentation, and might be able to do it with 3D printing using some flexible resin, and so that way I have a flexible mold that I could just take it out. So I'm going to try to do that on different DioWarriors laboratory flasks. But it's going to take me a while to do it because I got so many other things I'm working on, such as upscaling. I do have one more 6-inch thing to show, but I don't have it in this room. Let me go get it for you. Give me one minute. I'll be right back. So there's other things that's coming for 6-inch. That's going to be just upscale, so it should be easier to actually make. The bleach bottles, people like a lot of the DioWarrior bleach bottles. Those are going to be 6-inch. I've already got soup cans in 1/12 scale, and so those actually look better. I got some Coca-Cola cans or beer cans, or, that kind of thing. 16-ounce aluminum cans. I have to print those. That's going to be kind of tricky, but I got to print those and see how they come out. So no promises on those, but so a lot of it just depends. So here is a 6-inch laboratory scale. That scale microscope. So this one, I posted progress videos a few months ago, and so since then I've printed a prototype, and so far I like the way it came out. You can see some details. I don't like the way I did my painting, so ignore the messy paintwork. But essentially what you see in black is painted, including little mess ups. Come on, camera, focus on it. Yeah. You can see there's some bleeding of the paint down at switch. But anyway, this is just my first prototype to see how it might be. And there's some details in the back. I don't have those. Well, yeah, I did. Come on, show the details a little bit. So I still have to work out my technique a little bit more about painting, or maybe I shouldn't bother with it, because there's so many other better painters out there, and I'm sure they can come up with a better thing, better paint solution than me. So I wanted to paint some stuff with silver and things, but anyway. So next to a 6-inch figure, the eyes things are appropriate to the size of the figure's eyes, minus the helmet. I could probably make the eyepieces a little bit more on the oval side, but this will still work. And yeah, so anyway, so 2 things for a table, so laboratory, and last but not least, I know everyone wants the weapon of mass destruction, and I want to bring these back. The big challenge with this is that so many parts are tricky to print properly. There's a lot of detail that doesn't look good unless it's done with certain materials, such as resin. There's a lot of pieces that, well, there's a lot of steps, a lot of pieces that I did, and I probably made the model more complicated than what it really needs to be. So since then, I've been in the process of redesigning, and so I've gone through several versions of this, and including a 6-inch version that I've been making. And I'm still not quite sure how I'm going to print it. I'm thinking of doing it in such a way where, and this is like for the 6-inch, to design the entire model as one piece, and then find a nice place that I can just cut it, maybe like cut it right in half between certain areas that get covered up. So that way it hides seam lines. So that way I can print both halves, just regular printer, just print both halves up and then just glue them together. The challenge with this one are the flanges on the sides. Now this one didn't come out too bad, but what I don't really like is that the flange on this, for example, not these pieces here, but just the hexagon part, this one was printed on the build plate like that. So the top looks really good, but not the bottom part. So there's little things like that irks me and stops me from committing to doing this prop for for the store, really. I'm trying to find a better method for manufacturing on this. The resin stuff takes a lot of time. The curing is not always perfect. So I am looking into like what ifs. So I am thinking about what ifs, injection molding. So now in terms of the injection molding stuff, we have several options, and one of them might be arriving this year. I hope, fingers crossed. I've been kind of tight-lipped about it because I've supported a Kickstarter, and you know how Kickstarters go. Not always do the products deliver, and if they do deliver, they may not deliver as expected, and so you have high hopes only to find the reality of it, doesn't quite match. But one option that I am wondering about is using the same figure for using the same factories for doing figures. So I am looking into the process of that and to see how it comes out. And so no promises, but who knows? Maybe we'll do a Kickstarter just for this or something like that. And let's see. Let's see. Apparently, I get a comment, but I don't have comments showing me on here. Let me go to my Facebook and take a look. Oh, hey, greetings, Enrique Fernandez. Yes. Is that a nuclear bomb? When are they going to be back in stock? Okay. So let me get back to so I can see what I show. So yes, this is the weapon of mass destruction. I do have different versions of it. I have different versions right here that I can just grab. Here's an older version. You can see the size difference. I kind of like this smaller one a bit more. But this is an older version. And this was actually the first version, and I kind of like the simplicity a little bit more, only because when a figure, it's like right next to it, looks like the figure can actually grab the flanges and carry it. Whereas this one will require like two people, one here, or some sort of cart to kind of roll it around. I've tried in resin. This is a resin piece, and I tried to do resin for like certain parts that would be difficult to make it look really smooth when it prints. So I am trying to work out on some of the issues to make the parts look good, whether it's resin or it's a regular filament printer. They are going to be back in stock. That is something I want to do because I like this model. I spent quite a bit of time making it look this way, and I think it actually looks good. So I want people to enjoy it. I want it out there so people can actually use it and actually have it. So I'm trying to figure out what would be a good process for manufacturing. So I'm looking at printing the thing, just the body part in one way, and then the flanges in another way. I'm thinking about, if I can, what will it take to print the flanges in half and then have the other half, so that way I have, because even with a resin printer, you do have one side that is always going to be ugly. Usually that's the side that touches the build plate. You either have supports on it, or if it's a regular filament printer, it touches the build plate. You have a raft, or you have the build plate. So the underside is going to be ugly. So that takes work to file and keep clean. If I could figure a way to have the flanges looking nice, so when you put them together, you have a clean seam, then I'll be happy. I'll be satisfied. What I don't want to do is to have people have to go to the hobby store and get contour putty or filler putty, and then do the extra work of sanding the things. That might be the only way to do it. I'm on the fence about that, but that might be the only way to do it. The only other way would be to treat it like a fine scale model, where just like, what is it, tiny armory or small army or little army, the little 6-inch guns that people are buying for their 6-inch figures. It's a company that does good quality 6-inch weapons. So I'm thinking, well, if people don't mind buying a model kit where they put it together, maybe I could do the same type of approach with this, and I could have I can sell a model kit. Parts are on the sprues. People can cut the sprues, glue the pieces together, and they can paint it however they want. They can use so anyway, I'm kind of rambling, but I'm kind of thinking about it at the same time. There's also too, I'm going to try to use the same thing with PVB, where it will have an ugly seam line, but if people don't mind, doing the extra of filling it in with some green putty from Squadron, or the contour putty from Testers, then they can then that will be something that I can do. I can print it like that, and then let people work out those issues. I may try to do that. Like I said, I got this model that didn't come out too bad. It's just little things here and there that I want to improve on. I have a 6-inch version that's in the works that might be better to 3D print. And so that's also going to be an option. Every time I work with the 6-inch version, it's more and more detailed, that I keep thinking like, maybe this will be better for a Kickstarter, to send it off to a factory that does the figures and actually get a model kit, because it's a lot more detailed on the 6-inch version of what I'm doing. You can actually see torque screws or Allen screws more detailed. You can see a lot more detail on all the parts. And I'm thinking like, okay, well, if something like this were to go to a Kickstarter, then I'm going to go all out and I'll make the parts super detailed. And so then it'll be a process of going to the factory, just like a figure, getting the parts done. But unlike a figure, it'll be a model kit. And here's another thing I kind of wonder about in terms of model kits and factories. The DioWarrior figures, okay, they're still in the process of being worked on, being designed and stuff. They're still, so you may get stuff like this in the packaging. This is still a thing. I have been very silent about it for strategic reasons, but it still is a thing. And so this is still something that's coming, and it's still coming to Kickstarter. So I'm kind of on the fence about other things with Kickstarters. Like, for example, doing the weapon of mass destruction, the nuclear weapon. And so I'm thinking about that. So even though I'm kind of rambling a little bit, I'm kind of thinking out loud at the same time, and letting you know that there are options. Okay. And sorry. Now I'm switched back to the Facebook. Yeah, I purchased one of your old power generators, as well as a few. Let me just copy this. Maybe I can just copy this and put it in the stream so everyone can see. So here, okay. So the thing copied to different, copied DioWarriors store as well as DioWarriors TV. Can I? So I can actually show it. Okay, I can show this. So I purchased one of your old power generators as well as a few smaller pieces. But every time I went to purchase a WMD, they were sold out. Yes, it's because I'm not happy with the process of how they're coming out. If I can have them coming out as one object, as one model, I will be happy with that. I can do that with the resin, but I can't really do that with the others. And I can do that only with certain types of scales with the resin. Now, one thing I want to say about the 6-inch for this, here's an advantage of 6-inch, okay? When it comes to 3D printing. When it comes to 3D printing in 1/18 scale, one of the biggest challenge is the size. Things like a keyboard, in 1/18 scale, has a lot of challenges just to do the keys. And then when you start talking about details like keypads and other little things, there's a lot of details that have issues, because if you're not using a resin, well, even if you do use a resin, there's issues there. Parts are so thin that parts become breakable. So you make the parts thicker. Well, more material raises the cost. So parts become more, expensive. With a regular 3D printer, you can have thinner parts. Pieces are durable. Like this one, I'm bending it right now. I hope I don't break it. But then you have a lot of cleanup, because what happens is that you're dealing with a hot nozzle, and so you end up having a lot of cleanup that has to get done. So you end up getting these stringies. Well, with that said, that's one issue, okay? But the other issue is when you're doing with parts like this, the thinner the parts are, same thing with the quality of the stringies. You will have issues where the parts are so thin, it becomes a tug of war between heat and the melting point for the plastics. You end up getting quality issues, and the quality issues appear in different ways. The stringy lines, like you see here, is one. Other issues, what's called elephant feet, other issues, so there's lots of little issues that crop up, mostly because you're fighting with the heat. So the heat has to dissipate for a good quality part. So when the part becomes thicker, so you end up dealing with a bigger part, those little issues don't appear very much. This is one reason why if you go to a 3D printing forum and like on Facebook and they show an Iron Man mask, for example, or a Mandalorian helmet, it looks really good. It's because it's large scale. So the larger scale you go, the imperfections don't appear very noticeable, or if they do appear, you can deal with them easier. So in terms of the nuclear weapon thing, these flanges would be, well, they're currently is the big challenge to this model, but with a 6-inch figure, or 6-inch scale, the flanges are thicker, so you can imagine maybe twice as thick, bigger. So the quality of the print is going to be bigger. And if I use specialty plastics, which I plan to for that, then they go through the smoothing process. The parts look smooth. You can see more details. There'll be more details put in to begin with, and those details will be more noticeable. The parts will be friendlier to print. And I say all of this for one particular reason. When it comes to 1/18 scale, I try to print, like, for example, these flanges just by themselves in different directions. This way, printing from the bottom up. When it comes to resin, I print it at an angle, so it starts from the bottom up. When it comes to the 6-inch, though, this will be thicker, so I can probably print half of it. So I have 2 halves, and I can just put the 2 halves together and have 2 good sides. Or I can have the entire model designed as one piece, and then I go in and I just cut it, and then so I print half of it, and then I print the other half, and then I put them together. The thing is that these little flanges picture like a tube, being printed on the build plate. You're going to end up having this thick little tube that's going to form the flange, but it's going to be thick enough that the printer should be able to handle it without getting a lot of stringies or a lot of issues. So that opens another, that opens up a way that I could print the thing like this, in half. And even though it's got, these thin little flanges here, it'll be thick enough that the printer should be able to handle it. It can't quite do the same if I try to do it in 3D, in a 1/18 scale. This particular model might handle it, but anything thinner, such as the original prototype, this will be a nightmare to print, like, standing up like that. These parts will be just too thin, really. It will be a nightmare. You'll get some that will be good. Others will be not too great. Others, the failure would be higher. So those are the things that I'm wrestling with, and those are the things that that's kind of holding me back from putting these things back on the store. But I want to put them on the store. I want to get them back on there. I like them. I want people to use them. Let me take a look at Facebook again. This okay. Yeah, the power generator. Let me copy this. Go back to here. Post comments. Paste. Show. Yes, it was a while back. The power generator stuff. That's what is it? 3 years? Maybe more. Maybe 4 4-ish years. That was quite a bit. I did the power generators in 2 main waves. I did one and put them on the store, and then I redesigned them to be a bit better on different printers. Then I put them back on the store for a while, and but they do take quite a bit of time to print, so I haven't really gone back there. But the power generators are something I want to do. I was hoping to do power generators this year, 2022, because I guess, yeah, you can see it, huh? I am redoing the VSS. And that means that a lot of the stuff that I had planned for the first incarnation of my VSS, I had planned for a lot of background machinery, generic machinery, power generators, pumps, other kinds of generators, anything that looked good with piping. I was planning to basically to greebleize parts of the VSS. So, but those plans haven't gone away, and I do have updates on those power generators. And I got to see about putting them. One good thing is that now I have a belt printer. I can run a test with the belt printer and see how those generators print. If they print well, then I got some more belt printers. I can work the printers off in Texas, and I can hopefully get those printed there, hopefully. And that's what I'm doing right now with the consoles. I don't have a black console with me, but I do have, well, here's a gray version of the console. I do have these gray versions of the console being done in black with the printers in Texas. And because I have more ability in Texas to do more. Well, the drawback is down here in Florida, and it takes time. But yeah, so I am offloading some of the prints from here to the printers in Texas. By the way, talking about these little props, I've done this. I've redone these nuclear cores. Originally, they were designed to fit into this, but I'm shying away from that. It's just too much work to do. But that might be something for a Kickstarter. Like I said, if I go with a Kickstarter, I'll go all out, and who knows? Maybe the Kickstarter version will have a hinge, and the flange can open up, revealing more stuff inside. Maybe, I don't know yet. We'll see. But I have these done. They can be printed on a regular printer, and I have little props for these cores, so you can display them on a desk. I don't remember, but I might have this upscale to 6-inch also. I have to go back and take a look. But yeah, printing these for 6-inch would be nice, a nice little techno-looking prop. And so I'll do that. Oh, my voice is getting rough. So okay, I'm going to start to. Oh yeah, so I got these also in 6-inch coming. I don't have a prototype print done, but I do have 2 of the models designed. These are a different beast when it comes to making them into 6-inch. I actually have to redesign them from scratch. They don't really upscale very friendly. There's too many adjustments that I have to do for upscaling. So it's just easier to just design them from scratch. So I got 2 of them designed. I'll see about printing a prototype and putting that up. Let's see what else. It's cold here in Florida. I think it's 65 according to the thing. So, jacket like this in Florida, 65 Fahrenheit. So, it's like, yeah, I kind of miss the weather in Texas. It's expected to drop in the 30s or lower than 30s. I think in the upper teens this Friday. I think in Central Texas. Gosh, I miss weather like that. I don't like being cold. Okay, I don't like being cold. I just like, first of all, I like jackets. I like jackets that have a lot of pockets. I like, being able to put on, my favorite jackets, stuff like that, and going to a nice coffee shop, feeling the heater, and as soon as I open up the door, the blast of heater, and smelling the coffee smell. I like stuff like that. But I don't like to be cold. I don't have good cold weather gear. I don't have good gloves, for example. If I do have gloves, it's for working. Oh, by the way, one last little update with the VSS. So I'm redesigning the VSS, moving away from the design that you saw at JoeFest this past year. Instead, I'm trying to make things a little bit better, a little bit easier, better design, because with the lighting, it was just turning out to be a nightmare. And the way I want to do my VSS is that if I do it, it looks good. If you like what I do and you want to be able to reproduce it, you should be able to just, contact me, that kind of thing, and go to the DioWarriors store, and get the, make an order or whatever for the beams and all the other stuff that I do to do my VSS. In other words, I want to, whatever I do, I want it to be able to be replicated for anyone else. And but I do have lessons learned from that version of the VSS I was doing. One, I relied on pegs to assemble the beams. First of all, I no longer need to do that. I can make the beams really, really long. Secondly, with as one part. Secondly, I'm designing the beams to be assembled with screws. That way they can be disassembled. And that was the main lessons learned going to JoeFest, is that the main body of the VSS could be broken down easily for transport. But the engine room part could not, because it was mostly all glued. I used pegs, and the only way to really have the pegs secure was to use glue. So it's basically one big engine room. So that was not easy for transport. The engine room did receive some damage during that transport. So when I got back, I started on the process of redesigning all of the beams so they could be disassembled using screws. And so I'm thinking, and then other things develop, like, okay, this is like a large erector set. I can do a VSS with these beams, or if I wanted to, I can change the layout and do other kinds of stuff, not being limited to the VSS. I could do other things. Imagine an erector set, how you can do other structures with an erector set. Well, these beams, you can do other structures with them as well, big structures. So that got me to thinking, like, okay, what I need to do is perfect my system. And people didn't complain about the erector set requiring I can't talk today. Using screws. So, screws, nuts, bolts, things like that. So if people didn't mine it back then, why should they mine it now? So I'm going to be, designing more stuff that's going to require screws for disassembly. And so that means that a lot of the stuff that you see on the VSS is being redone. And hopefully the health issues with the gallbladder is not going to come back. And that will, and I'll be able to maintain a schedule again, consistency, and I'll be able to do more stuff here. Hey, greetings. We got another comment. This one appeared in my StreamYard thing directly. So let's see, show. Greetings. I have the same issues trying to section down now, but we'll really need an edge safeguard. Yeah. Here is my edge safeguard. So this is a very simple 3D print. It's very long. I don't know how I would send this in the mail. Maybe I can just cut it down or put it into a large tube, like sending like as if mailing a poster or something like that. Cardboard tube or something. But the way this works, yeah. Okay. I'm not in a great position with the camera, but the way it works is to protect the MDF wood, I just have this sleeve that I've done, so I can just drill straight through. Of course, the MDF wood inside is going to suffer with the drill going, with the screw going in and out, whatever I want to remove. But at least it's going to provide some protection for the corners. I won't get what's called what do you call when you have a book that's been the edges of the book has been like impacted and mushed, dog-eared or something like that. Or anyway, the MDF wood, the corners won't get like that with the sleeve protecting. The only drawback is that this is a 2 millimeter thick sleeve. So the dimensions for all the pieces of wood and everything changes by 2 millimeters. And I think it's small enough not to really worry. However, when you do put light on the inside of the VSS, the inner walls will have a gap. And I'm not too worried about that gap right now, mostly because I figure if I use greebles, I can just, flush the greeble 2 millimeters further, covering up any type of gap. So if one room has light, it should hide the light spillage into the other room, between the seam. It should hide. If not, then I'll work on some other solution. But the other thing is that I don't have all of the VSS walls things here, but this is the other side of the VSS. But you do have walls on this side. The other solution is I can see about making a small little sleeve for each one, and that may provide some solution as well. I may want to do that too, because there is a screw, that goes here and here that probably should be reinforced. And as you can see, with the sleeve, it's got the gaps where the vertical walls would go. There's a little bit of excess space, and that's so I can have little items in between, or should I say a wiggle room in between. I'm not too worried about that in terms of how it looks. But yeah, you know, it should be an easy filler, you know. But anyway, my solution to that, to guard the edges, is a plastic sleeve. If you or anybody is interested in something like this, I can always do. It's just tricky about sending it in the mail. That's all. You know, but if I could get some cardboard tubes to send something like this in the mail, I'll do it, no problem. Let's see. I'm going to go back to Facebook and take a look. Okay, here's another comment. I'm going to post it. Let me just copy paste. Copy. Paste. Control V. Yeah. Checked. Okay. Show. I'm going to see if I get my hands on a nuclear core or two and maybe a few more little bits. It's 29 degrees here in New York. That is cold. Is it a wet cold or is it a dry cold? I remember in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, back when I was going to LSU, walking to the coffee shop, CC's coffee shop, and they had they had one location near where I worked on one side of the LSU gates. I don't remember north side or south side or something like that. There was another coffee shop on the opposite gate. So, but anyway, so this coffee shop around January, you know, I you know, every year was like this. It's a wet cold because it gets cold enough where it could freeze, but it still hasn't frozen. And so you end up having, you know, the type of cold where it really bites into you. So every breath, you can see your vapor. And, you know, if you were to put your hands to your mouth and breathe in, it will only be comfortable for a moment. But then that moisture you just put, you know, kind of gets cold in your hands too. So you end up, you know, anyway. It would always be rainy around this time of year in Baton Rouge. So you'll get puddles of water everywhere. The streets will be damp. You get puddles, grass, trees. I remember walking through a parking lot, and the parking lot was the type that it didn't have any pavement. It was just dirt, some shells, like these little white shells, and spotches of grass, weeds, and lots of puddles. You know, as you know, from tire tracks and cars that park there. You got these, you know, wheel ruts from the tires, and so that would always have this milky brown water, you know, and you know, used to step through. You know, you get cakes of mud on the bottom of your shoes, and you know, tugging, you know, a heavy book bag, going to the coffee shop. But you know, I had fun. So that's one reason why I like cold weather, I suppose. Is, you know, it's, I guess, the memories of those old days. And oh, hey, here's another. What I'm going to post. Let's see, CC South Side, Hunting Coffee. Yep. Yeah, that's it. South Side, the South Gate. Yeah, that CC's is no longer there. Now they moved it to I don't remember the street names, but it's still within distance still within this walking distance. I think there was an apartment complex called Embassy Apartments, and so it's like across the street somewhere along that area. It's like there's a street that kind of branches off in the shape of a Y, and so there's apartments, and then there's empty fields. Well, now those empty fields have some strip mall type stuff. including the new location for CC's Coffees. So if you're all wondering about CC's Coffees and you're kind of wondering and you're passing through the Louisiana area, Community Coffee has a chain of coffee shops, thus CC's. It's come from community coffee. And I don't remember the reason why, without being absolutely sure, why they stopped expanding outside of Louisiana. And but they are in Louisiana in different locations. You have them in New Orleans, in Baton Rouge, I believe, in Lafayette or something like that. Might be in Shreveport. I'm not quite sure. But anyway, if you're ever in that area where you do have a CC's coffee shop, have what's called a mocha sippy. It's kind of like Starbucks's Frappuccino, but I think it's better, way better than what you get at Starbucks. Now, I'm not like, anti-Starbucks or anything like that. If you're in a pinch, you want some coffee, yeah, they do have some good stuff. But when you compare CC's to Starbucks, there is really no comparison, honestly. And specifically, the Mocha Sippy is their flagship specialty drink. I like the chocolate one. It's easy to make at home. It's just a matter of proportions, and you're using an ice cream base. You're using several shots of espresso. That's important. And of course, chocolate if you like the chocolate one. But you can use all these other flavorings, and it goes good with hazelnuts and other flavorings. And it's a cold drink, so you blend up ice. And without getting into a recipe thing, it's a matter of proportions. And the big, I don't want to say the secret ingredient, but one of the important ingredients is what's called ice cream base. And if you don't know what ice cream base is, it's kind of like the stuff you use to make your ice cream at home. It's kind of tricky to get. I don't know where to get ice cream base, but there are places that do sell them. So if you can find ice cream base, you can get it. If not, vanilla ice cream, can kind of work in this case. But anyway, I don't want to get too sidetracked. Let me go back to the let's see. Let me go back to here. I'm going to see if I get my hands on a nuclear core too. Hey, great. I like that because, and maybe a few more bits. Good. It's 20. Okay. So yeah, the nuclear core stuff, I will see about printing them, some more. I may try to do different printing directions. I may print it like half and then half. So that way you can just put them together. It does have a natural seam line anyway in between the two halves. So I may take advantage of that and make it into a regular seam line. That's because, printing it like this, you got one side that's good and then one side that requires some work. So I'm going to try to keep both sides good by changing the way they're printed. And I may do the same technique for up to 6-inch version. So expect to see that for 6-inch. Most of the other items for 6-inch, expect to see also, like the bleach bottles, different kinds of cans, technical bottles, or technical containers. Expect to see that. I have yet to do, but I plan to do the the beer keg in 6-inch. I will do the guitars and the banjos as 6-inch also. I'll just upscale them. They won't have any additional detail other than to make them look okay for 6-inch. But they will require, just like the 1/18 scale, they will require custom work if you want to make it look more realistic. But at least the structure is there. I do plan to put more laboratory stuff. So the digital hot plates, I will put a digital scale, which will look almost the same. The microscope will be there. What other things? I still have to experiment with the flasks and stuff like that, but I will experiment with that. And if I could do something good with it, I will put them there. Or if you're into casting and stuff like that, I can do. I'm sure I can do a flask in 6-inch, and then just do it so you can do your own casting of those things. No problem with that. So the other thing is, oh yeah, what else? What else for? I do the conference table. The conference table. I am looking at doing a conference table where I don't have to rely so much on laser printing for all the pieces. Now that I can print much longer pieces, I'm going to make a plan B, an option for conference tables being done for these other kinds of printers that I have. Different shapes, different sizes, conference tables. Certain things will have to be laser cut, obviously, but I'm trying other techniques. Let me see. Let me go back to this one. Yeah. Okay. Good. Same issues. Section down. Okay. Good. Yeah. Okay. Okay. I just want to make sure that I'm answering all of the comments. Let me go back to Facebook. Oh, thank you. I'll send this one out. Copy. Let's see. Where was I? StreamYard. And I'm going to paste. Thank you, Enrique Fernandez. Thank you. I appreciate. I'm trying to keep things going. It's I have a lot of ideas, and sometimes I don't seem to have enough time to do all of these ideas, and then I get more ideas. So, but I'm trying to get them to the point where if I do them and they come out okay, then I want to get them so other people can also do the same thing. And so that's true for all of the 1/18 scale stuff that I have. I want to upscale them to 6-inch. So I myself, I'm not a very big 6-inch collector. I do collect, what I like to see, whether it's Joe's or it's going to be a Figma or something like that. And but after getting some, I think it's called Tiny Armory or Little Armory or something like that. I got some background sets for that. Their scale for shooting ranges and other things like that. I need additional props, so I'm trying to do them. I'm trying to do the DioWarrior props, upscale everything, and some of them are just going to be too large to really do. Others will be possible to do. So I'll just see what works and what doesn't. But like I said, at the beginning, I do have 6-inch versions of barrels that I am working on. These take forever. For example, just this one takes 5 hours to do on a printer. And so I am trying to build up inventory before making them available. Like I said at the beginning of this video, 2021, it was a tough year. Part of it was health issues, but part of that is just that I also got swamped with a lot of orders, a lot. And so after JoeFest, things just mushroomed out. Honestly, beyond my control, really. It's like I said, I really wish I had access to a workshop rather than a place like this, because with a workshop, I could get more printers, get more equipment, and get things going more often. I suppose maybe these other kinds of these belt printers that have things going 24 hours a day. That's really the only way I'm able to keep up, is just to have the printers going nonstop. And so I am looking into other options, and there really has to be other options. And so I am trying to see about injection molding. So when it comes to props like this, I'll see about injection molding. Maybe a Kickstarter just for single props, like a Kickstarter for this in 1/18 scale. Maybe combine 1/12 and 1/18 as a Kickstarter, or maybe 1/18 scale Kickstarter, 1/12 scale Kickstarter. I don't know, but we'll see, and we'll see what options I can do. But I would love to see stuff like this, complicated stuff like this, done with injection molding, because that's really the only way I'll be able to really honestly keep up with the amount of orders that are coming in order to cut down on the delay. And I do apologize. There's been a lot of delays. Things that should take 2 weeks are taking out a month, 2 months, even more. And there's one big order, lots of complicated stuff in there that's been going on for several months. If you're watching, I am working on your order, so I'm trying to get that out, right away also. So, okay, I think enough with the video, and I think I am going to start up the printers and follow, my words with some action, and get that thing going. There's more to talk about. I hope to come back next week. If not, if these videos are, how to say, sometimes I don't have content and I don't want to just repeat what was previously said, I may delay a live stream and just do one the following month rather than once per week. I am trying to. Well, I'm about to repeat again. So anyway, okay. Thanks everyone. I'll see. Last moment comments. Okay, and make sure that I got all the comments covered. I think I do. And okay, great. So thanks folks for watching. I will try to be back maybe next week if there's significantly more updates, or maybe I'll just do like a 30-minute update. Maybe I'll have some more pictures, things like that. And speaking of pictures, I think I can share a screen. Yeah, I can share a screen. I can share this picture. Share. Oh, okay, yeah, okay. So y'all can see. So let me hide the comment here. So things from the past as a departing little picture to show. And can I go to the next? I don't know. I thought I could go. Oh yeah, there it is. That's the one I wanted to show. So okay, a photo from the past. So thanks for watching. I will be back as soon as I can. Hopefully next week. Fingers crossed. And let's see. Actually, I think I have a doctor's appointment for next week. next Monday, I believe. No, yeah, I think I do. Okay, yeah. Yeah, I got so next Monday I will not do a stream. I got my first doctor's appointment. Gonna try to figure out what was going on with that gallbladder and things like that. So um, maybe the issue's still there. I don't know. But anyway, I don't like surprises when, like I had, because so November for Thanksgiving, I was in the hospital. Christmas, oh, Christmas Eve specifically, I was not having a good time. Um, in the mornings, during the day, normal. At night, uh, sorry about this, but not having a good time. And so things got okay again. And then guess what? 7 days later, New Year's Eve, same issues. So, but since then, since New Year's Eve, I've been feeling fine each night, and I've been watching, specifically watching what I eat, trying not to eat at late times, um, holding back on greasy foods, things like that. So I've been cutting back on fried foods and trying to eat earlier in the day. I'm trying everything I can, thinking that, well, nighttime gallbladder kind of kicks in. Um, and so maybe something, doing a lot of the prints that I do, I tend to do a lot of stuff at night. This was the past, okay? So 2 in the morning, maybe I'll have like midnight snack, 11 p.m., 12 a.m., that kind of thing. Eat something. So little things like that. Maybe I screwed up my biological clock, biorhythms. Maybe I screwed those things up, going on for too long. And so maybe things got out of whack. I don't know. But so I'm trying to change up and improve the schedule, going to sleep at normal times. So things so far are going better. So fingers crossed. And with that, we'll see what the doctor says. Okay, catch y'all later. Maybe next Tuesday. We'll see. Catch y'all later. Thanks for watching. And well, that's it. All right. Thanks. Bye-bye. End broadcast.